studying everything from the atheistic side and the theistic side or whatever, it boils down to this. And I'm going to show this with an analogy. We're going to show this with papers, okay? All right. So stay tuned. Come along with me, okay? So this is us. We are all born into this world. This is the world. Empty sheets. We all have empty sheets, okay? To do whatever we want with this sheet, okay? This empty paper. Now, someone comes over. He takes a pen and he wrote something, okay? Something, anything. He wrote it on his own paper, okay? And someone else decides that I'm not writing anything on my paper, okay? Now you have two people. One wrote something, anything, and the other is not writing anything on his paper. Okay, the real problem comes when the guy that wrote something is trying to convince the guy that is not writing anything that he should write something, or write what he wrote, okay? When this happens, the guy that has nothing on his paper will be like, why should I believe that? Why should I write what you wrote, or why should I write anything? I can do whatever, right? It's an open, you're free. Why should I write what you're expecting me to write? This is an analogy between, let's say, the theist and the atheist, okay? For now, it's going to get deeper, okay? So now, this guy has to give some evidence why he's saying that the empty guy should write something, because this is a legitimate question. Why should I write anything? Fine. You see that now the guy that is not writing anything, maybe the skeptic, maybe the atheist, he has a point, right? But there's also the other side. What if the guy that wrote nothing is trying to tell the guy that wrote something that, why did you write anything? In fact, clean it. Clean what you wrote. Why are you writing anything whatsoever? Remember, the same question, this guy can say, why can't I write anything I want? Why are you telling me I can't write, right? So remember that the argument goes both ways. If this guy tries to convince the guy with nothing on his paper to write something, he has to convince him in one way or the other. And there's no basis actually for this. The guy that has nothing on his paper also shouldn't push it too far and think that the guy that wrote something, he has some argument against him. No, you have no argument against the guy that wrote something. He can write whatever he wants, anything whatsoever. Now, let's leave that for now. So, this guy that wrote something, why did he write what he wrote? Okay, he must have some reason. And then you find there's another guy he wrote something to. So this is something one, this is another one. He wrote something to, and they're having an argument of what should be written. Okay, so this is an analogy of like different religious beliefs. Like these are things should be written. This guy is saying no, it should be written this way. Okay, this is something one, something two. Both of them, they are trying to say things should be written and it should be written this way, and you're wrong for writing it this particular way. And both of them can discuss about this. They have a basis for discussion now. Remember, they both agree that something should be written. They are just disagreeing on how it should be written. Okay. Now here comes the third guy. This third guy, he wrote something, but he has no reason for why he wrote whatever he wrote. So you cannot convince him either to not, because remember, it's a blank slate. You write whatever you want on it. That's the point of freedom. You're free. So he wrote something, he has no justification. If you tell him like why you should write it, you'll be like, there's no way things should be written. I can write however I want. Leave me alone, right? So remember, the two guys that wrote something, they were first arguing because they have a basis. They have an objective basis that there's a way things should be written. Things should be written, but there's a way it should be written. They are disagreeing on how it should be written. The third guy, they cannot make an argument against him because he can literally write whatever he wants. He doesn't need to give you any evidence for why he's writing what he's writing. You see, this guy is the only guy that is exempted. You see, now, okay, he's exempted from this critique. Now, you see that the people that wrote something one and something two, they will be much more inclined to talk to the guy that has nothing on his paper and the guy that just wrote rubbish. Okay, they are inclined, they are in a position, call it whatever, this is their belief. They are in a position to say, why don't you write something? You that have nothing on your paper, why don't you write something? And the guy that wrote nonsense, he'll probably tell him like, hey, I see like you have the inclination to write something. Yeah, that's good. But you should write it like this, okay? This is their own position because they believe these are how things should be written. This is their belief. Now, you might say like, who are these people? Why are they telling people to write some things in a particular way? Who are they to tell us what to write and how things should, how do they know that there's a way things should be written and stuff like that? How do they do this? Okay? You can ask them that question and they will have their own answer why they think things should be written that way. But remember what you cannot do to them. Remember one thing. You cannot tell them they shouldn't believe this. You can only say, I don't agree. You can say, I don't agree. I don't believe what you said. You cannot tell them. As long as you have someone that has nothing on his paper, you cannot tell someone that wrote anything whatsoever what they shouldn't write, what they should write, or what they shouldn't write. You cannot. If you have nothing on your paper, you cannot do that. You cannot tell somebody what they shouldn't write, that they shouldn't write. They can write because they are free. Whatever they want. You have no basis to tell them that they shouldn't write or what they wrote is wrong. You have no basis for that. And if you're someone like the something 3 that just wrote rubbish and he doesn't have any justification for what he wrote, you are in no position also to tell somebody how things should be written, because that's the basis of your belief. You just wrote it arbitrarily. Okay. Now you can already see like what is this? All this analogy showing. The point is that freedom is established here. You are free to write nothing on your paper. You are free to write anything on your paper. To write or not to write. That is the dichotomy. To write or not to write. If you choose to write, do you have a basis for writing or not? If you have no basis, no problem. Remember, the conflict arises when a conversation is happening. When one tries to convince the other. The guy that wrote something or anything, he cannot convince the guy that didn't write to write. Like, you're free to not write. That's the point I'm trying to show. But remember, the guy that wrote nothing cannot tell somebody that wrote something that he shouldn't write also. So the point is, the theist, even though, like, let's say someone believes in mythology, whatever mythology you want to believe in, anything as absurd as it gets, because of the blank slate we all have in this world, you are kind of justified in believing in any nonsense you want to believe in. Whatever. Believe in whatever you want. And no one can really tell you not to believe that. Unless they have some kind of evidence, some kind of basis for telling you to change your mind otherwise, to convince you. But don't think your skeptical position can make you objectively critique people. Do you understand? You cannot then take your empty slate and then come and try and convince people that have something on that they shouldn't write or something like that. So this whole argument is, if you are someone with empty slate, you keep quiet. That's it. You don't. If someone tries to convince you to write something, you say, I don't want to write anything. It's over. That's it. They will be the ones to be dealing with, like, this is actually the theistic problem, because they believe you should write something and they believe there's a way things should be written. Okay, so they are the ones that will be doing apologetics. They are the ones that will be trying to convince you and stuff like that. That is their job, okay? But you that you have nothing on your paper, if you come and talk, the only thing you should say is that I'm not convinced, I don't want to believe, I don't want to write anything. It's as simple as that. But don't take it too far. This is the problem I have with many atheists. They now push it too far, more than just, I don't want to believe anymore. Remember, why did I say this guy has justification for trying to convince people? It is because he has that belief that things should be written and they should be written in a particular order. That's his justification. If you don't agree with that, fine. But you see, this guy, he doesn't believe things should be written, and he doesn't believe there's a way anything should be written anyway. So how can he come and critique anybody? He cannot do that. So anytime I see an atheist, I'm trying to look for like the substance of what is his argument, what is he all about? Okay, because, and they will appeal to like something like science, for instance, but science is just as empty as this paper. It's like saying this paper is white. Yeah, life is about meaning. We're not talking about, is this paper white or not? Is it rectangular or not? This is what science does. It describes stuff. This paper, it has an angle and it's white and it's plain and it's flat. How does that? We are dealing with writing something that is about meaning. When religion is not about describing how the world looks, it's about meaning. Okay? And most atheists, what they end up doing is that they will end up writing something too. They will fall into the category of people like Something 3 that say, I write whatever I want. Okay, fine. But remember, just like the guy that wrote whatever he wants, he has to accept that anyone can write whatever they want, and therefore he cannot critique them on that basis, because he doesn't have any basis to compare to, like, this is how things should be written. He doesn't believe that. He just wrote it arbitrarily. Or someone that has nothing on his paper, he can also do the same critique. That's the problem I have with them, really. The only people, if you want to talk, I'm just like, really, like, I'm serious, like, the only people that can talk are these people that have this belief. If you don't have this belief, you cannot critique people objectively in that sense. You should even be doing that. But because now this is like a very simplistic analogy of things, but I believe there's something profound in there. If you're someone that you believe in God, you're a theist, you should understand something. This is actually very serious thing. It's very, very serious, because when you give up theism, you go back to this. You have no say anymore. There's no meaning. If you study like Western philosophy, there's something called existentialism. Existentialism is when there's no meaning, there's no ground to stand on. All you are left with is description. Like, this is rectangular. You can't write anymore. There's no basis for writing anything. This is what scares people like us away from atheism. Because now they give you an empty paper. There is no basis for writing. There's no one telling you to write anything. You can do literally anything. So they are most of them, they are anti-socialist. Like, they will say, there's no way anything should be done. Human nature is not even like something you can define. You can literally do whatever you want. Literally. Okay? This is what an empty slate gives you. And then you just write whatever, you scribble whatever you want. Fine. You see, like, the point is not about, how would I say? Anyone can do that. You can believe that. No problem. But know that this is what is at stake. If you're someone that cares about meaning, this is what is at stake here. Meaning or no meaning. That is what religion is for. Belief in God grounds our meaning. It grounds, is the basis for the people that said you should write something. That is the basis for what they're saying. They shouldn't concern themselves too much with science, because science is, to me, it's just empty. Science is like saying this thing is white. Okay? How does that mean anything? It doesn't have any meaning. It's just describing what you see. But true deep meaning, things like morality and other questions, you have to have a basis for that. And if you already accept that, you see, that things are empty like this, you cannot come and critique people that believe things should be written. Everyone should just leave themselves alone. That's what it will come down to. Okay? It will come down to, and when you try to convince, by the way, I'm saying this, if you're an atheist, you try to convince an atheist, understand what you're doing, that you're literally telling them that you have a basis for what you're saying, and you literally think, like the guy that wrote something, you literally think this, and that's what you're doing. And if they don't agree, you should actually leave them alone. It's as simple as that. But the atheists, you understand that too, especially all these militant atheists. I agree there can be theists that do this, but some of us are not like that. Some of us, we care more about ourselves. Like, what am I actually doing? I'll try to convince you. If you don't agree, simple. But people push it too far sometimes, I agree. But it also comes from the atheist side. It's not just theists. The atheists, they think we cannot see them when they write rubbish, when they write arbitrary stuff. They think we cannot see. We notice you. We see you when you write your arbitrary stuff that has no basis, and then you try to make us accept it like objective stuff. We see like it has no basis. So when you write something, you are like this third guy. When you are an atheist, trying to tell people what to do and stuff like that. Another video, I'll use this kind of analogy to show you that without some basis and things like that, see whether it is true or not. That's not what we're even discussing here. You see, I didn't talk about truth yet. That is something we can discuss. But this is not even about truth. This is about what is your ground for anything whatsoever. What motivates you? Do you just talk because you think I can talk? Or do you have some substance? I don't know if some people understand this, but people that have gone through skepticism and they've dealt with, especially in the modern world, between atheism and theism, and people still remain theists because there's nothing on the other side. There's nothing there. There is not something you get to and then you're happy. You know, it's not like you're going to have to write something at the end of the day. At the end, and that thing is going to be mythology. It's going to be a myth because reality is actually meaningless. If you write anything on it, it didn't tell you to write it if you are really consistent. So you will not be like, which mythology do I prefer? Okay, there's this mythology I ran away from, but here I am with another mythology. And then you cannot justify it. You're just arbitrarily following it. Fine, no problem. But that's what you're doing. So if mythology is really the problem, you still have myths. You are still following myths. Okay? And yeah, I think this video is already becoming too long, but I hope you get the point. Understand what you have as a theist. It's not a joke. This is your ground for meaning. This is the distance between them is like life and death, really. That you have a ground for something, whether it is true or not. That's not the point yet. You can discuss that with people that they believe things should be written, people that believe there's a basis. You can discuss that with them. But with someone that has no basis, if he doesn't really want to talk about it, just leave him alone. It's as simple as that. So let me see what you guys think in the comment section, and see you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.